Hey guys, I'm John Robinson, the Astrotard. Today I want to talk to you about how do you combine old data from a previous session with some new data from a newer session, and maybe those two sets of data have different calibration frames. Let's get into it. Hey guys, it's great to be back with you. I've been on a break for a little while, as you probably know if you follow the channel, and my focus has been, not related to astrophotography. I've had a lot going on. Personally, we've had to deal with some rather expensive house repairs and some car repairs from some chipmunks that have attacked my wife and my daughter's car. And I've also had this online business that I've been trying to get off the ground.
What are you doing?
So that has really been occupying a lot of my time and attention. But I've always felt like I needed to get back to this YouTube thing. And a couple of you have been asking, I see this question come up a little bit. How do you combine the older data with the newer data, especially if the time between those two image sessions necessitated different calibration frames? So essentially combining two sets of data with different flat files and different darks and bias. How do you do that? Well, I'm going to show you how I do it, and let's get into it right now in PixInsight. I have shot the Wizard Nebula over the past year, and I've got 4 imaging sessions on that. So I did a little summary for you for those 4 sessions, and let's just have a quick look at that. I'm going to load up PixInsight here. Here you can see session 1, hydrogen alpha from a 5-minute session. Session 2, this is the Loom data 5-minute session. Session 3, another hydrogen alpha 5-minute session, and session 4, a 10-minute session. You can see each of these has, different problems in terms of the light pollution and the calibration frames that we're dealing with. They're rotated and oriented differently as well. So this is a good example of a problem that you might have to face. How do you integrate these different subs? The other problem is, if we look at, here's the calibration frame flat file for session 1. Here's the flat file for session 4. You can see the difference there between those. The dust bunnies are in different location. The orientation is slightly different. And this is the challenge, right? How do you integrate all these things together? Well, here we go. Let's find out. Let's take a look at the steps that I'm going to take you through in this quick tutorial here. The first one is identify your subs and ensure that the file names are unique so that you don't run into any conflicts when you integrate them. The second step is you got to find the calibration frames that you used when you ran those particular sessions. The third step is calibrate and register, but don't integrate, using the weighted batch preprocessing script. And then fourth step, move them to a common folder, put the H's with the H and the O with the O and so forth. And then fifth step is to check the quality. I'm going to use the blink tool. You can also use the subframe select tool to make sure that there's no airplanes flying through or asteroids or whatever. The sixth step, and this is the real key, this is where the whole magic happens. This is where you integrate all those subs together. And then the final step is the mix and the tweak. But essentially the tutorial is finished after step 6. I can't leave you hanging, so I'll probably go ahead and mix it. What happened? I changed shirts. Okay, it's a different day, but I wanted to make sure I got this part of the editing correct. So let's show you some of the source data that I'm dealing with that we just talked about a moment ago. So I've got these 4 folders, Wizard 1, 2, 3, 4, and in here, each one, I've got all of the calibration frames for that particular session and all the lights as well. And so now we're just going to use PixInsight and the weighted batch preprocessing script. You add the bias for the session, the darks, the flats, and the lights. I'm using the master bias dark and flat. For the reference image, I'm going to choose one image from the 4 sessions as the master, and it's up to you whichever one you want to use, but choose one image as your reference. and then choose your output directory to correspond to each of these. You want to make sure you use a different output directory for the 4 sessions that you ran. So as an example, for the stack, for session 1, I put it in 1, 2, and so forth. The other thing that's important to look at here is we're generating subframe weights. So we use the weights of each of the sessions to determine the importance in the stacking. We're not going to force the image measurement. We're applying an image registration, and we're generating drizzle files. We are not doing the image integration. We're going to repeat this step 4 times, 1 for each of the sessions. Okay? I won't make you watch the gory details, but this takes a long time, as I'm sure you know. This is Goober, your friendly neighborhood 14-year-old Shih Tzu. Yeah, he's a senior citizen. Say hi, Goob. Want some popcorn? Let's see what we have. Okay, so we finished all the calibration and registration, saved everything in this Windows Wizard Merge stack. So in folder 1, we've got calibration, logs, and registration, and everything is registered to the same master file. We're going to delete the calibrated and the logs. We only need the registered, and we're going to move everything from H, and we have a registered O. We'll put those in the O file. And we have a registered S. Grab those, put those into the S file. Okay, we'll repeat the same steps for stack 2. Get rid of calibrated and logs. We just need registered, and that's a loom. We'll grab all those, put that in the loom folder. Okay, and then calibrated logs go away for Wizard 3. Grab the H's, put them in H. Grab the O's. And now this is why it's important to have a different file naming convention. Because if any of these files were named the same, and they would be overriding each other, which is not what we want. I'm also grabbing, if you notice, I'm grabbing the XDRZ as well as the XIF file. So the drizzle file and the raw file as well. These are S's. Let's go into the S folder. Repeat for number 4. Calibrated logs go away. Just get registered. Here's our B. There's G. There's H. There's O. There's R. And there's S. Okay, so if we look here in the H folder, we should have all H files in here with their drizzles. And we do. Okay, so now we can go through the process of, let's look at where we are in the whole process here. So we identified the subs, distinguished the calibration, we registered them, and now we moved them to the common folder. Now we're going to check the quality and use the blink tool and the subframe selector tool. And blink. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to have to browse to it. The Wizard Merge stack, go to final H, grab all those. And while that's loading, I'm actually going to create, under the final folder, a folder called bad, where I can put all those bad subs that we find. Okay. And you can see one of the consequences of having an older registration file has the impact on the earlier ones. You can see how my camera was oriented slightly differently. But that's okay, we'll take care of that in the crop section. Fortunately for this target, you know, there's a little bit of excess that I can trim off the outer edges, and it won't affect really how the target looks. But let's go ahead and preview this at 0.05 seconds. We'll just press play. If we see any anomalies, we'll stop and throw them away. There's a lot of dirt in there. You can certainly see a lot of, and that's interesting, you can see a lot of asteroids flying through there. Are you guys seeing that? Is that coming through? These little white dots that appear here and there, these little asteroids, you know, maybe satellites showing up in the image. And some of them are dirtier than others. I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me as really being too bad. Let's slow it down a little bit. Not seeing anything too bad in there. Lots of noise. I don't see any reason so far to throw any of these subs out. Some of them are dirtier than others. Clouds and so forth. I don't see anything too bad here. Yeah, I think the reds are okay. Let's look at the... Oh, sorry, those were the H's. Let's do this for the O's. And I'm going to skip the RGBs and L's. I don't really care if they're good or bad. So we'll do this for the O's next. Okay, select them all. Do the histogram equalization there. Ooh, there was one. Did you see that? Let's get rid of that one. This guy will put you in the bad folder. That's what we're looking for, this exact problem right here. So we'll go to stack, final, bad, and put you in there. Okay, so we won't be looking at you anymore. Okay, and now we're back around to the top. So I think we're okay now. Let's look at the S's. Oh, there's a couple of bad clouds there. This one in particular looks pretty bad. Let's throw that one out. Put you in the bad folder. Okay, I think we've started over. All right, I think we're good there. We've didn't find too many, which is good. Looks like we found 4 files that were bad. Now we're ready, finally, to really do the magic of this whole thing. Integration. Now, since we stacked and calibrated these guys independently of integrating them, this is the final step, image integration. I'm going to add the files from the H directory. And by the way, this is why it's nice now to have everything in its own subfolder. H first for hydrogen. I'm going to add all those subs. Here's the 600s, the 300s, and the 120. Actually, they're all 300s. There's no 120s in there. I'm going to add some drizzles as well. The real key to this step is the weights. Rather than using noise, I'm going to use the fits keyword. And maybe we should examine what those fits keywords look like. If we go into, let's see, go into H folder here and we grab one. And we look up the process fits header. Where is the fits header? Right there. And we look at the fits header for that guy. What we're going to see in here is a weighted batch pre-processing entry right there, WBPPWGHT. This is a weighting assigned by the script weighted batch pre-processing, which sort of associates how important this file is relative to the other 300 odd files that we're integrating. And so we want to use that keyword WBPPWGHT right here in our weighting. So we're going to choose the fits keyword WBPPWGHT as the key to knowing how to integrate these guys. So let's go ahead and close that guy, let this guy run. All right, so here's what we're left with. Now, you can see that rotation coming through on some of the rejection lows, but this is our H. Let's call that H. Have a quick look at it. Pretty good H data. Pretty strong there. Okay, let's repeat the process for O. Grab the O's, grab the drizzles, integrating with that keyword integrate. There's the O. Quick look there. Yeah, okay. Now one thing I noticed, see on the O here, this problem here. I've got some halos there, so some of the Astrodon oxygens have this problem. Sorry, not Astrodon. The ZWO oxygen filter does this, whereas the Astrodon does a lot better job. Okay, now we'll add the S's. Add the drizzles. Integrate that. There's that S. Okay, let me try one more thing with the O's here. Try that one more time. These are just the 10-minute exposures now. Yes, it does have an impact if we only look at 10 minutes versus the other one. So I don't know, let's see. I'm going to keep both of them. I'm going to have an O2 just in case. Oh, we'll call it 600 only. Okay. All right, that's it. Now let's go ahead and do a quick mix on these guys. I've saved this rejection low because I want to do a quick crop on this and apply that to all the others. So since I know that not all these subs were oriented correctly in the same way, I'm going to use this file to sort of help me figure out how much of this data I want to keep. Rotation. We'll apply that to all these guys. And what I'm really doing is just chopping off the area of the data that's has less data in it. You can see the problem, right? Up here there's just not as much data because of the rotation. So we'll just crop that out so we know that we have good coverage of the entire field of view that we're interested in. Okay, let's do a quick stretch. Okay, quick stretch there. We'll go S, H, O, and the other O. All right, quick mix here. There's the quick mix. And now if I did the O600 in here. Okay, let's look at that. So here's the normal oxygen with the halo. Here's the one with just the Astrodon 10-minute exposures. Yeah, I might go with that one. Even though it's less data, we might choose to do that. I'm going to process them both in parallel just for grins. This SHO. Let's just say SHO 600 only. Well, there you go, guys. That's how you combine data from different sessions. You can see the difference between the left and the right. On the right, I just used my 10-minute oxygens. On the left, it's got 10-minute oxygens and 5-minute oxygens combining Astrodon and ZWO. The ZWO blue filter or oxygen filter leaves those pesky rings around the oxygen channel, the blue channel, whereas the Astrodon does not leave those rings, which is great. So I think probably I'd prefer this one here on the right. So this was a marathon. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for sticking with me. And we'll see you next week.